Ryan.
Welcome back to Give Me Rent. This is Noah.
This is Dylan.
Today we are talking about Sinners.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to go right into it. Dylan, what did you think of Sinners?
Well, I am just insanely happy that this is the kind of movie that is now at the top of the box office. Like a completely original movie that is also an amalgamation of a ton of genres. Like, it is not one genre. Obviously, there's a main one, but I feel like there's so much going on, and the fact that it works as well as it does, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was phenomenal.
Well, when was the last time a horror movie was it Get Out? The last time a horror movie was
universally appraised.
Universally praised.
I actually it definitely brought me back to those Get Out vibes where it was like, you have to see it. You know what I mean? Like, the consensus really has been like, you got to go out and see it, especially in theaters, because there really are a couple sequences in this movie that are, especially IMAX. Like, these are IMAX sequences that are just really meant to be seen on the biggest screen.
Well, I got to say as well, just on the horror thing, it's kind of amazing to see Warner Brothers get into the space of making big budgeted horror movies now. Like,
I mean, are you shocked that he got like almost $200 million as a budget for this movie?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they had a lot of confidence.
I get the confidence in Ryan Coogler, though. You know what I mean? Ryan Coogler has consistently shown that he can make really good big budgeted movies. Like, all of his big budget movies have been really solid. As I think the one that most people say are a little iffy on is Wakanda Forever, but so much working against him in that movie. You know?
Well, I just gotta say, I don't think that movie's bad, like, at all.
I don't either. That is definitely the most widely criticized.
I
would
it's
say
the most forgettable movie.
Yeah, but it's definitely the most widely criticized too, just because there's definitely stuff to criticize in that movie. You know?
100%. Yeah. It's just, I don't think by any means that it's bad.
And we'll move back to Sinners. So, what do you think of Sinners?
I was just trying to defend Wakanda Forever, but Sinners is miles ahead of it. No, Sinners is one of his best movies, no doubt. But, I mean, he doesn't have the biggest filmography yet, but this movie just shows a lot of his strengths as a filmmaker.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the movie just moves so confidently.
It is pure confidence on display because
the movie has a lot of goofy bits in it. Like, you could talk about a lot of sequences. We're not going to go into spoilers.
Well, like before, it's an amalgamation of a ton of genres, and I think it just works full-heartedly, and I think what really, obviously when it really kicks into gear and becomes that pure horror movie later, it already had so much going for it 45 minutes before that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of leading.
And, I mean, yeah, it takes its time, but rightfully so, because there's a lot. There's a lot of story here. There's a lot of characters.
A lot of good characters.
Yeah, a lot of great characters. And I think every single person, especially the newcomer, Miles Cannon, phenomenal performances all around. You know, like, really, really solid.
That's Sammy.
That's Sammy. That's the main.
Yeah, this kid gives a crazy performance.
This is his first role.
I really wonder how they found him. I mean,
Well, I think they were specifically looking for a blues singer, and that definitely shows.
That. Yeah, it was.
I'm gonna say like 3, 4, or 5 things even that I loved about this movie, because there's stuff that I really, really liked. One, the emphasis on the blues. Making that one of the main things about the movie was just smart.
Was kind of the oomph of the movie.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like, the movie deals with vampires, but it's not really about vampires, if that makes sense.
I would say the story is the main part of the story is definitely more about
the theme.
The theme, especially,
the theme of the
is
movie.
more Jim Crow South and cultural appropriation by using vampires.
The vampires represent something.
Literally,
and that's
it's literally kind of like, vampires in this way. They're soul suckers. They're sucking soul, but a different type of soul in this movie. You know what I mean? It's the soul that comes from blues music.
Yeah, it was a very interesting new way into, like, doing something else interesting with vampires.
Mm-hmm.
But like the base stuff is there. Like, the basics of vampires is there for the action, and because they barely
vampire lore, same way to kill them, all that stuff.
Yeah, but the only thing I'll go into kind of spoiler territory here is that the movie, it doesn't really try to really delve into vampire lore like that.
Yeah.
Once they've realize they're dealing with vampires. Like, that's just it. Like, the movie definitely, I mean, especially, like, towards the end of the film, it really kind of just throws its themes in your face, but it's still, like, it smartly presents everything.
Yeah.
Where everything just comes together very well in the end, even after the conflict with the vampires is over.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
100%. There's still more movie after that, and I think, again, some standout sequences in this movie, some all-timers, honestly, especially one that I know many people are discussing that is one of the best IMAX sequences maybe ever put to screen.
Well, it made me upset that we weren't in an IMAX theater once this was happening.
I could it's like I could almost tell how good that sequence was going to be on IMAX because it was just insane.
This is the second horror movie, well, kind of horror movie, to be shot on IMAX 70mm film.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Nope.
Yeah, other than Nope.
This was more, I guess, a horror than Nope, but they both have horror out.
To compare it to Nope, though, some other shot completely differently, of course, very different cinematographers, but some amazing nighttime sequences in both of these movies, like shooting the night.
They both heavily rely on the night.
And there's a one particular dance number in the nighttime that I think is another of an all-time sequence in this movie that I just thought was incredibly done.
Well, just a lot of sequences that I think could become pretty iconic. I mean, just in the eyes of the mainstream.
I think already we're seeing a week in this movie is already becoming pretty iconic.
It's a shame you just see just the amount of posts on social and
Well, almost like I think we said it on this show. A sign that a movie's doing well nowadays is how many memes are coming out about it, and I see Sinners memes everywhere.
It's true. But honestly, the movie. I mean, I saw some of the marketing, but it's like it really kind of just came out of nowhere. Like. Even though it's
didn't like the marketing. I mean, I thought parts of the marketing
I thought
very
the
well
trailer
done.
wasn't strong.
There were some parts of the marketing that weren't even trailers that I think were good. I think what was bad was the trailers. I think it revealed way too much about the story, and it's just like I want some more surprise.
Besides one specific thing in the trailer that shouldn't have been in there, I just think they just weren't the best trailers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just my personal opinion, but
my reason for them not being good trailers is how revealing they were. I would have definitely preferred to not even know this was a vampire movie.
After seeing the movie, though, they weren't that revealed. Like the story,
but imagine going into this movie without knowing it's a vampire movie.
Oh, for sure, but they had to.
Did they?
I mean, like, I guess the first trailer doesn't really get into the vampire stuff at all.
I just feel like we're in a day and age where like. Obviously, studios are scared to do that, where they don't want to show the true kick of the movie. I mean, they want to show the true kicker of the movie in the trailer, so it's like we'll get more people in the seats. I think that's a disservice because it's like definitely it might affect week one ticket sales, but if the movie's good enough, like Sinners is, I think word of mouth really will show them that that's still a possible thing, and people will be in those seats week two.
Yeah, it's trailers. They're never not going to show what, I mean.
I know, I just saying hypothetically, like say Sinners trailer. I feel like there's so many parts of Sinners you could have shown.
I know exactly
that didn't show vampires, and I would have still been intrigued, saw the movie, and I would have been like, wow, this is a vampire movie. Because honestly, in true Dusk Till Dawn fashion, this isn't really a vampire movie until like 45 minutes into the movie. Which is great. I love that. I love that it took its time, and it's like it could be a movie on its own.
But it has that tone.
Kind of just like Till Dusk, to compare it again from Dusk Till Dawn, it is literally another genre movie up until 45 minutes where it just completely shifts tone, and it's a vampire movie. With the same theme still there, but there's vampires running around now.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, it was very in that vein. Very different movies, but very much in that vein.
I got a point. I just got to say, the villain in the movie.
Yeah.
Really, really great performance. And
like I said, all the performances all around. But yeah, Remick, I think his name was. The intrigue of the villain is just phenomenal.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to get into.
For them not saying, you don't know his backstory. You don't really know where he comes from.
He's literally dropped into the movie.
Yeah, he's literally dropped into the movie. All of his scenes are actually great. He's really, really well done. And also, I mean, menacing for one, but also just like kind of charismatic. Like you actually kind of.
But also just fascinating in his motivation.
Yeah, his motivation in this is very. It's like
something he represents something larger, but like just like personal motivation there. It's just very interesting to see. Mm-hmm. It was also just great to see a goofy horror villain again.
Yeah, like that's also scary.
Goofy in like the best way. Like
yeah,
like he definitely had a great time playing this character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean just that. That dance sequence is just is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, very memorable. And I honestly really want to see it again in IMAX. Well,
yeah, I think I might.
I was upset we didn't get to see it in IMAX.
Well, if you're listening, you haven't seen Sinners, please see Sinners because I'm just loving the support I'm seeing. the fact that it is #1 movie at the box office.
It's been a lot of support from just,
we needed something to beat
like
Minecraft, and I guess I'm happy this is the thing that did it, because...
Well, yeah, it's been a great month at the box office. That's just the greatest thing, because Minecraft isn't really, like, a great film, but it's
got people back in the theaters.
Got a lot of the younger generation back in the theaters, besides what they did to said theaters, but... It's still great to see just the engagement. It can be there. I mean, there were obviously theaters in Minecraft where people watched the movie. It wasn't all just chaos. But
I mean, like our theater. I mean, I was honestly a little disappointed by how quiet it was in there.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But it's just great to see.
Theater for Sinners was great though. Everyone was vibing with it.
It's a great month for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to kick off summer blockbuster season because with an original blockbuster.
Well, going into the summer season now, it's just a great feeling.
Yeah, I was genuinely kind of worried for the summer season because it's so many.
No, because on top of an original movie doing great, it's a horror movie.
Yeah, it's also a horror movie.
And then we had a Minecraft movie, which it's an IP movie, but at least it was something kind of different.
Yeah,
I'm not calling it a great movie, but it's a weird movie. That's all I'll say.
For sure.
It was a
with this kicking off the summer blockbuster season, there's a lot coming out, especially in the horror genre.
But I think it got people just hyped to be in theaters.
Yeah, no, I mean it did.
For horror, and then for things like Minecraft.
Definitely.
People are just excited to go to the movies again.
Yeah, especially with Superman coming out and other big IP movies coming
July
out this summer.
Huge.
I think we're going to see a large resurgence to people going back in theaters, which is just phenomenal. I love it. I'm all for it.
It's exciting.
I'm just hoping at the end of the day, a movie like Sinners can really reinvigorate the interest in original movies, content that isn't spurred from anything.
It was interesting. I mean, there was a few pretty good trailers before Sinners started. There was this trailer that came out. I never even heard of the movie before I saw the trailer, and then I researched. I looked it up after. It's a movie called Him. You saw it with me.
Well, I think the buzz around Him is that Jordan Peele is producing the film. So a lot of people right off the bat were like, "Oh, a new Jordan Peele horror movie." I mean, yes and no.
It's kind of interesting that they're marketing it as Jordan Peele's next horror. He's producing it.
I'm sure. I don't know how big his role is. He's not directing this movie, nor did he write it. But it definitely seems interesting. I think painting a horror movie around a football player.
Well, that's what I was wanting to get into. Not even the Jordan Peele thing, just
the movie itself,
like a sports horror movie.
That seems like a great concept.
Yeah, and then the trailer played, and
then we saw the trailer.
No, I'm not even. saying...
I was very intrigued by it. I mean, Marlon Wayne's being in it.
I'm trying to think through the trailer again now, but yeah, I was so shocked. Not that Marlon Wayne hasn't had any dramatic turns. He's not a terrible actor. It was just interesting to see him in that.
For sure.
It was very interesting to see him be. I think he might be one of the main the villain or the horror. I think it revolves around someone going to it's his compound or something like that. With him.
I mean, it's definitely a teaser trailer, so I don't know much.
I couldn't get out what the story was, but it looked interesting. I mean,
I think horror movies for the next few months are all going to be very interesting. We have Bring Her Back, which is
Bring Her Back actually looks crazy.
That looks, great on the marketing on them because I'm freaked out from one teaser.
Actually, just going to state for the pod though, I still haven't seen Talk to Me. Which is just crazy because
Waka Waka was a huge YouTube page that we watched growing up, and they're now making pretty. I mean, at least Talk to Me was really well received for being a freshman film.
Well, no, it's just amazing to follow their story. Even before that film came out.
We're in the era where YouTubers are making movies now.
It's not even just that. It was just two kids that they wanted to make something, and they set out. They did it. I mean, I'm sure they had a great team backing them, but I got to see Talk to Me. It just looks really. I've only heard great things.
Yeah, but Bring Her Back, I think.
Yeah, once I saw the trailer for that, I was like, oh shit, I got to see.
Really crazy. I mean, another movie that just started its marketing that some people were even confused that it was a marketing thing at all is Weapons.
Were you talking about that because Bring Her Back kind of has a found footage thing going on?
Well, yeah, but I also think of the Weapons marketing just starting, and I saw people were genuinely confused.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's because it revolved around what kind of surveillance footage.
It was just the first teaser. I mean, they dropped the teaser, but before the teaser, they just dropped surveillance footage that looked very eerie, and it looked like
I saw this. I can see people getting pretty confused.
Yeah, I mean
before it turned into an actual kind of trailer at the end, but the marketing's been pretty cool for that because they, at the end of the ad or the trailer, it kind of leads you to a website if you follow it. It's kind of like an old article page,
yeah.
It even ties back to his other film.
So if you don't know,
Barbarian.
this is the second movie
Zach Krieger,
from Zach Krieger, who also did Barbarian. There was a little Barbarian nod in that little marketing thing if you go to that website. But I just love that he's kind of honing back to those early 2000s.
Well, the marketing,
it's the found footageness of the Blair Witch Project's marketing campaign or Cloverfield's marketing campaign.
Cloverfield is honestly
that might have been one of the best marketing campaigns for a movie ever done, ever, and you could still look at all of it online now. Yeah, all those websites are still up for the Cloverfield campaign. For those who don't know, Cloverfield, a monster movie from the 2000s that was produced by J.J. Abrams, and it had one of the most actually, it was pretty integral to the film, but the marketing campaign for that movie was absolutely nuts. The first teaser, first of all, was actually no one knew what it was about, and it was the most mysterious thing. And then after that, they just released a slew of websites that had a bunch of very subtle nods to what the movie could be about, some events that lead into the movie, and you could look at that all still online. And how in depth it is just nuts. They clearly had a whole team of people just working on that marketing and for months. You know.
Well, they wanted everyone who was in the movie, people, just to look at them as real people. There's no one at least that I can think of, super known, at least at the time, in Cloverfield. And when that came out, it was just. I mean, I was very young when it came out, but that shit, it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, I mean,
now it's not. Now, obviously, you rewatch it, you're just like, what?
I mean, yeah. Also, that was one of Matt Reeves' early movies, and it's just.
Oh, he's
one of the most interesting filmmakers working today, and that being one of his early movies was a true showing of how he's doing a bunch of interesting things. That to this day is still one of the most interesting.
Definitely one of my favorite found footage movies.
Yeah, I think it's the best of that genre, without a doubt. No doubt. Of the found footage genre, which is a genre I don't really particularly love, that's definitely my favorite. I mean, it's a great movie. It uses that format to definitely the best it could possibly be in a film.
Yeah, honestly, it's weird to say, but I recommend the deep dive into the marketing of
I'm serious. Cloverfield's marketing, I think, to this day, is one of the greatest.
It's effective.
It's effective and one of the greatest ever for a film, period. Literally. All time.
Simple and effective.
I think doing that for a horror movie is smart too, because it just adds to the kind of I don't want to say creepiness, but the kind of validity of the story and stuff like that.
It gives it a more
movie about missing kids. Exactly. Adding a
I see the point of what they're doing with weapons. That the subject just of that a bunch of kids disappearing is terrifying.
Yeah,
just that image of them running like that is so eerie in itself.
Yeah, but great market. That is excellent marketing. I want to see more of that kind of marketing because I think we got a ton of horror movies coming out this year that all look pretty damn interesting. Or maybe not all of them. There's a ton, but there's a lot that look very interesting.
Well, we've said it a few times on this channel too. It's kind of awesome that all horror fans are being catered to right now.
Yeah, seriously. There's all kinds of horror movies coming out, low budget, high budget. This is the best time for horror movies in quite a long time. Seriously.
I just want to point out too, we talked about Sinners before, but pretty good time for vampire movies.
Yeah, exactly. Genuinely my favorite movie 2024 was Nosferatu, and now we have Sinners, which might right now be standing as my favorite 2025.
I think it was definitely
likely be top early in the year, but it was a phenomenal movie. And both those movies, very different takes on the vampire genre. Give me more takes on the genre. I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of modern vampire media has been very interesting because it's someone finding a new angle.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before with the oomph. They find, both are kind of. I mean, Nosferatu is just a retelling, but they found an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
And with Sinners, as you said, it has the basic lore and all that, but it still found something interesting to do.
Yeah. Especially now with something so overdone like vampires, you have to do that now. You have to find a new way in. And I think, the musical aspect of Sinners was excellent. That was just a great choice of tying that into vampirism because Coogler's clearly trying to tell a story about cultural appropriation here too, which I think the subtext works really well in the movie.
No, it's interesting. That's what I mean. It kind of came out of nowhere because like I should have kind of expected it to have like more of like an oomph in it. That's what the marketing never really lend into like the fact that
I think the marketing, I think the marketing told a lot of the narrative beats, which I was disappointed about, but it still never got into that. It
got into no thematic beats. That's why
I could tell the movie had an emphasis on the blues and music, but you do not feel it until you see the movie, no doubt. Seeing what it's about and seeing those sequences on screen is
that performance scene. It was just incredible.
Yeah, for real. There's, several scenes in the movie, but yeah, that was definitely a standout.
I mean, really, the whole movie, like, I could obviously watch again, find some flaws, but it just moved along so confidently.
Yeah.
And, like, I was sitting there, just like, this is a big budgeted horror movie, like, that's just kind of goofy and kind of really serious at times, and it all just worked.
Yeah, no, it's, like I said before, for it being so many genres, and it really comes together in the end. I really think it's. That's why a lot of people are saying, are really, the word of mouth is crazy on this movie because we haven't had a movie like this in a while.
People are overhyping it a little bit. Like, I'm not going to sit here and
I would say yes and no because, again, I don't think we've had a movie like this in a while. It's a very confident movie that's also a big budget movie that they clearly built all the sets for.
I was just hyping
They paid extras. You know what I mean? There's extras in every scene. There's people everywhere. It is not like the big budget movies we see nowadays. This is very much a throwback to movies that were the big blockbusters of the 90s and early 2000s.
It's why I always defend Wakanda Forever, though. It's clear that Coogler really cares about character.
Yeah, no, he does. I mean, I can tell the first thing he writes is his characters. He writes everything. He lets the world the character inhabit the world.
But everything else was so strong. That's why this is one of his best films. I mean, it was just really thematically, like, very rich. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does next following this.
I'm excited
out of nowhere
for
in that regard too. It's just like from his filmography, like what made him think vampires like in the Jim Crow era South, like it was just such an.
Well, I've heard him talk about it. This was a very personal story for him because he based it a little bit on his grandfather, and he grew up knowing people from the South like that, and this was a very personal story for him that he happened to write a vampire twist into it. You know what I mean? He also wanted to be a fun genre movie.
Well, I get you saying that. It's just really, it definitely, I can see why the movie feels the way it does.
Yeah, it feels very personal.
For
it
does,
being a big horror movie
especially
like
with
this.
it having big things like vampires in it. But the movie isn't about that really.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, we really got to say, like, if you haven't seen this movie,
go see it.
Go check out Sinners.
And definitely be mindful of all the horror movies coming out this year because there are some really interesting looking ones. All right, for Give Me Rent, I'm Dylan.
I'm Noah.
Catch you guys next time.